the default is always that it lasts the duration of the combat.
Scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
Well,
for
yeah, that makes sense to me. I'm down with that.
yeah. So for example, it's that's the same as Dominic's mysticism spells. So he gets Axeman now. Once the scene has finished, the monster's dead. He suddenly goes, "Ooh," like that, and the power drains from him. You know.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
yeah, I'll have a think. I'll have a think about it as we go along. So I'm just eating pizza. Right.
No problem.
Let's. What do you wish to do, guys?
I would like to use the last of my blessing from my god, the blessing from Mr. Pickle's god, or from from Bartleby's god. And after getting empowered with all his strength and ferociousness, and running up to the beach, the beast, and seeing him just prick him with his dagger and the beast fall, I want to turn to Ben and just real quick with the end of my the butt of my staff, or the shaft of my axe. I just want to real quick hit him in the head. If I knock him out, it happens. I'm just gonna do a quick whack.
Are you aiming to do damage to him?
Non-lethal damage.
If you just if you're looking to do damage, then in Mithras there's you can either subdue people, or you can do damage. So if you're putting it this way, if you're hitting him hard enough to do damage, then yes, you need to roll your damage. If you're just going bomb on the top of his head, like you would pat somebody on the top of their head, then you don't need to do damage.
Oh, no, this is like to knock him out.
Okay, then in which case,
I'm a ferocious warrior, and it's a giant beast, and it was just taken from me by this 12-year-old boy with a knife.
okay,
I gotta prove that.
I don't think anybody's arguing with you here.
I am.
in which in which case
my-
you need to do damage on him.
Okay. Do I need to roll an attack or?
No,
just do-
no, because he's helpless. He's a 12-year-old kid.
He trusted you.
10 damage.
Yeah, so that's enough to actually cave his head in,
Well, what?
because he has no armor on there, and he only has like 5 hit points on there. So you sort of like turn around and you sort of like whack him with the thing, and you literally cave his head in,
Oh no.
and he literally falls down,
Oh no.
just sort of like dead on the floor, and that's it. You've killed him.
Oh my god,
You're not going to do it to me, are you? Because I did more damage than you as well.
We're just outside. Bartleby's sitting in the grass, just trying to get down from tired to maybe winded or fresh. I wouldn't mind being fresh.
Yeah, you should have a time limit on how long it will take you if you look at your character sheet.
Yeah. 1.5 hours, but I'm just sitting here, so I don't imagine I'm anywhere there.
Yeah, well, you'll probably hear it because Ben wouldn't sort of like just say nothing. You know, when all of a sudden Dominic turns around and plants the shaft of his axe into Bartleby's head, so there'll probably be quite a hefty scream in there from Ben, and there's probably quite a nice blood splatter. So all of you would probably go in quite naturally to sort of like see what's your icon, Gulliver?
Oh, it's because I've got I'm a fatigued thing. I'm not suffering from any extra.
Oh yeah,
fatigue.
got your persevere.
I just wanted to put some on so I didn't
Yeah,
forget
no.
when I looked at it.
So that would have gone. Oh, that's 6 hours, isn't it? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so you guys sort of like hear this almighty sort of like cry from Ben, and you sort of like go in and you see sort of like Dominic stood over the top of him, and poor Benjamin, the 12-year-old kid, has his head quite nicely caved in, and Dominic's just stood there with his axe inverted, and just sort of like the end of it just covered in blood and sort of like bits of Ben's and brains, etc. on it.
Gulliver's going to go, Dominic, what have you done?
I don't rightly know.
Can we go up to him? Is he dead?
Hang on, because I think he's got. If I just.
I mean,
I'm freezing. Just so you know, Gulliver, I'm freezing time at this point, so I'm not. I just need to check the rules because I think he bleeds out in a set amount of time, and I'm not too sure how long he bleeds. It takes for him to bleed out.
So he's still alive.
Well, I'm just.
Because somebody over here knows a little goddess that can stabilize major wounds if this is a major wound.
And that's what I'm just checking.
Sounded pretty major.
I don't know if there's like extreme or terminal wounds.
The wound boundaries go minor wounds, which is when you are somewhere between the amount of hit points you have on a location to 0. Once you hit 0, then you go into a serious wound, and a serious wound is anywhere between 0 and minus the positive amount of hit points that you on. So if you had 4 hit points, the serious wound goes from 0 to -4, and then once you get to -4, then that becomes a major wound. And I think Gulliver might correct me on this. The only people who can actually heal a major wound are thesists. Not anybody else who has healing. You can stabilize them, but you can't actually heal them. Right, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
What?
Right. A victim with a major wound to the head, chest, or abdomen drops unconsciously, totally incapacitated, and must immediately oppose a test of endurance against a successful attack. Well, that's not going to happen because there wasn't naturally an attack. Failure results, which is what happened, is an instance is a death, incapacitated, chopped in half, impaled through the heart, torn apart, or so forth. If he survives and the location is not treated within a number of rounds equal to the heal. Right. So the thing is, he's at minus. So what we'll do. It's up to you guys. If you wish, we can roll. You can roll Ben's endurance. Okay, then. So that would be opposed by Dominic's to hit roll. Okay, but technically, your to hit roll. Can you just roll your axeman? Just roll your normal axeman. Make sure your fatigue is taken off it.
Oh, taken off.
No, well, no, we'll leave it on. So basically, Ben would need to roll his endurance, and so he's failed to roll his endurance. So that means he is literally his head is caved in, and he is dead. Just so you know, or Gulliver and Bartleby knows, if he did make that roll, then he survives and if he survives, the location is not treated within the number of combat rounds equal to twice your healing rate. So on your character up at the top, you should have a healing rate. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have twice that in rounds. So if you're in combat, remember that's not the turns, those are the little bit. The rounds are the big ones. You would survive from twice that. If you weren't treated within twice that amount of time, then you would die in any case from shock. And then it basically, if you wish to heal it, hang on, I'll just bring up my healing table. I didn't think I would need it. Da, 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 da. Okay, so folk magic sorcery would actually, and sorcery heal, would just, if you've got those spells, would just stabilize. They wouldn't do anything else. Rejuvenation, which I think is your spell, Bartleby, it would actually heals a single body location, whether it is crushed or mutilated, and it would actually make sure it would bring it in back to a major wound where it would start to heal up normally. So if he had succeeded, you would have been able to cast rejuvenation, which would actually brought the blessings of the gods down, and he wouldn't die.
Question.
Yeah.
Does Benjamin have any luck?
Well, he's never had any luck until now.
Right, I didn't know whether or not he had any on his...
Well, here's a question for you. Well, he's literally a character. So he has the same as... he has...
Yeah, because who do you call it has access to his character sheet, doesn't he?
He has two. He has 2 luck points.
Yeah, Pickles, why do you
Okay,
roll
so we
luck?
want to use a point
Just
of
let
luck
it
to
die.
re-roll his...
Really
to
Pickles'
swap the figures round on his endurance, and therefore he made it.
Yes.
Okay, then. So therefore, his... so that would mean now that he has 4 combat rounds.
Okay, so as Gulliver rushes up, kneels down, looks up at Dominic and says, "Dominic, what have you done?" And he puts his hand over the wound where Benjamin is injured. And both Dominic and Bartleby hear him whisper, "Leia," as he casts the spell.
Okay. So this is folk magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then. Yeah. So nothing happens. Bartleby, is there anything you wish to do?
Yeah, I wanted to use. I guess I'm gonna wimp out. I'm gonna rush over, and if I can, I'd also like to use the folk magic healing prayer that I was taught in my church.
Okay, so this is still folk magic, yeah?
Yeah, I'm wimping out with the folk magic.
Okay, then.
So I'll not pass judgments until we fail.
Okay, so that's the first combat round. Okay, this is first combat round. So that is both your first turns failed. So therefore you have your second turns.
Okay, not being put off.
Which fails again.
Gulliver is going to use a point of luck.
Okay, which will take it to 39. Which will allow it to actually succeed. So Ben is seriously, utterly wounded. He's got severe head trauma. Is that your folk magic? No, yeah.
So it just stabilizes him.
Yeah,
So,
so-
he won't die.
Yeah, so his hit points are technically at -10, -5 on his head. So yeah, it just purely stabilizes him. The only spell that can actually bring it back is rejuvenation cast by Thesists. That's the only spell in the whole of the game that can actually heal somebody. So what will happen now? Ben won't lose anymore. He won't lose any more hit points. So he's not going to die of shock or anything. But the only way he can sort of like get back from that now is rest and being looked after and first aid, etc., etc., etc.
Gulliver's just going to, after successfully casting his spell the second time, he's just going to sort of like sit back because he is now exhausted. I mean, his magic points are down. He's winded.
Yeah, he certainly
So
is.
he just sort of like sits back on backwards and just sort of like looks at Dominic.
Dominic has stormed out of the room and slammed his axe into the wall, cleaving out a chunk as he leaves.
And that's
I'm trying to see how different because rejuvenates for high level priests, and there's heal. I have heal wound, which is I'm trying to see how different heal wound is really from heal.
Where's your heal wound from?
Heal wound under theist,
Okay.
which is the initiate level healing, I suppose.
Yeah, hang on, I'll just check it up.
Physical page 187. And then because I couldn't get rejuvenate even if I wanted to right now, which does look like the vastly superior.
Okay,
so.
then.
What is he at the moment?
So he has Ben has a major wound. So heal wound heals a single body location back to its full hit points, provided that the injury is no more severe than a serious wound.
Oh, yeah.
It has no effect on major wounds, save for stabilizing the injury and preventing death. So
That's where we're already at.
yeah. So say for example, he's currently at -5. If he was at -3, then your heal wound would bring him up. But the priests are the people who actually have rejuvenate, aren't they?
Yeah, them specifically.
And the miracle heals a single body location suffering from a major wound, no matter whether it's been crushed, mutilated, or dismembered. The freshness of the injury affects the time taken for the miracle to complete.
Well, Gulliver, it sounds like we're going to need to bring our friend Benjamin to a proper healer, because I don't believe I can call upon Amriel's light for this.
Gulliver sort of like look down at Benjamin, sort of like look up at Bartleby and say, "Can you not do anything, Bartleby?"
I can't do any more than you can, Gulliver, and your powers are quite great.
But how long before he's well enough to travel?
I don't know, but I mean the priests were able to save me when I was near death, so surely they can save young Benjamin.
But what do we do now, though? Do we take Benjamin back, or do we go after his mother, because his mother's not here? And what about the seed? Look what it's done here.
Indeed.
What happens if it's released in Lindo or Ubin Falls? It's
Gully, can you start fire?
I have a tinderbox. Yeah, I can start a fire.
Here's my suggestion. You burn down this place, Briggs. I gesture over to Briggs, who's in the corner over there. It looks like if you can track down Benjamin's mother as best you can. Hopefully, I can catch up to Dominic so that he can help carry Benjamin back to town. I'm sure we have enough coin, or at least I do, to bring him back.
It's a long way.
It's okay. He should be stabilized for now, right?
He is stabilized. Yeah, you just need to be very careful.
Yes, and I need somebody strong to carry him back, and I think Dominic, despite his actions, might be the right one. The dark moon.
Could we wait here, or do we burn the?
We should burn this place down, which would be what I was hoping you could do for us.
Well, Dominic's already built a fire. I could light it.
That's exactly. That's all I need you to do here, while I catch up to Dominic, hopefully, and with Benjamin out of the building.
Yeah, we don't want to partly cremate him. Just out of interest, Bartleby, can you open Ben's character sheet now?
Yes, sirree.
Can we?
Can you see all his skills?
Yes, but he doesn't really have that many.
Does he have things? Does he have a combat skill called? If you had it open before, shut it.
Okay.
And then open it again.
And he got fancy real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can Gulliver get up and can he go over to where the fire is and can he take the sort of like the rug or whatever it is that's in front of the fire?
If you have a tinderbox, I mean, obviously,
no, he wants to take that and put it next to Benjamin, and maybe him and Bartleby can get him onto it, and then they can use that to sort of like drag him out of the.
Yeah, the best person to as Briggs hears you talking, he sort of like mentions that he's very capable of starting a fire, and he sort of like does have he doesn't say this to you, but out of character, he does have survival skill, which is what is used to start a fire in these situations. So he's probably your best person to create a fire, so he'll be able to roll his skill in order to get one set off, and in which case what that does, he will set a fire, but how good he rolls will depend how quick it catches on and how quickly it burns down the building.
Okay, so Gulliver's going to go over and he's going to get the bear skin or the animal hide that's by the fire, laid out among the fire, and he's going to bring it back and stick it next to Benjamin, and then hopefully Bartleby and Gully can maybe get him onto it and use that to almost drag him out of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's does my.
Oh, there we go. It worked.
Let me just.
And then I wanted to approach Dominic. If he is actually just over there behind the tree.
He currently is. He hasn't gone any further than that, as far as I'm aware.
Would I see him behind the tree?
You probably, yeah. I mean.
Well, then I'd like to approach.
Yeah, at this point, Dominic would probably just have his axe resting on head on the ground with it leaned up against the tree, and he's just leaning back against the tree, just staring out. As you walk up, he goes, "Will the kid make it?"
I believe so. We need to take him to the priest in town who had helped me. But we'll need somebody strong to help carry him, because I'm weak. I have mangled hands. I show him my wonky hands. Their broken bones mended.
Demorse and mangled hands.
Thank you.
How far is this priest line?
I would hope that the priest in town in Lindo might be able to help us. Or are we closer to Ubin Falls?
Good point.
I don't know.
Well, I'm just going to roll locale if I can.
Yeah.
'Cause that might solve that question, and that would help a little bit.
Yeah.
And big money.
You
So
you're probably closer to Ubin Falls because you travelled a long distance before you actually before you took the turn off to the caravan. You've been travelling several days, so you're definitely closer to that part. So you probably can sort of like head back down the road that you came from. If you remember, you travelled about 2 days to get to here, and then you could probably that'll get you back to the caravan campsite. From there, you could then probably get onto some kind of see whether or not there's any wagons there, and then from there probably head off to Ubin Falls.
So, just side note, Briggs is in chat, and I told him what happened. He goes, "Sweet, I never liked him."
dang it, Briggs.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with Briggs, that never actually came across in role playing at all. Not that, never.
I mean, Gully doesn't like him, but
Well, that did come across in role play.
but Gully looks at it that, innocent until proven guilty. Gully wants to prove that he's a traitor, and having his head caved in with the haft of an axe.
It's not. Yeah. No.
He's not. It's not going to. Gully's going to talk to Briggs, and he's going to say, Briggs, Benjamin's mom was in the hut, and she's not now, and she might have been taken away by the men who you were tracking, or she might have escaped into the woods when she heard them coming, or she there was a struggle, so she might have managed to escape and evade them. But can you check for traps and see whether or not you can find either them going all together, because she won't weigh as much as them, so you should see sort of like a lighter set of footprints. And
Yeah.
I think she was older as well.
Can you roll his tracking skills, and also add +10 to the roll, because this area is quite muddy and the grass is quite soft around here.
Can I just roll it and then add 10 onto it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
How did I do?
Sorry, take 10.
Take 10 off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah, you make the standard rolls. Yeah. So what Briggs points out is that I'm pinging the map, so you might want to this way out of the clearing. That way.
Oh, sorry, I missed. I missed it because I was zoomed in.
This way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This way out of the clearing, and let me just find it. Yeah. There's evidence of what was the standards roll? Yeah. 3 or 4 people with what appears to be like leather boots, and another set of footprints that are much smaller than the rest. And Briggs describes it as them being those sets of footprints as being stumbling. So not sort of like walking, but not dragging, stumbling.
Gulliver's going to go over to where he sees Bartleby and Dominic in conversation, and he's going to go up and he's going to say, "But Briggs has managed to track them. It looks like Benjamin's mom was with the people in the who were dressed in green, but the thing that I don't know why would they come here, and then why would they take Benjamin's mom?"
Just out of interest, Gulliver, could you? I don't know how many arrows Briggs fired, but he gets half of them back. I think it was
track.
4. One
Right.
went in the door. 2, 3, 4. No, 5. So you'll get 2 of them back.
Equipment.
So
Arrows.
reduce it by 3.
Arrows 11, 9. No, 8.
8.
Maths, wonderful thing. Right. So so Gulliver's gone up to them and
Yeah, sorry,
and said
just
that.
say that bit again.
So Gulliver goes up and says, Briggs has managed to pick up some tracks, and it looks like Benjamin's mom was with the other people who were clad out in green and who had the seed, and I don't know why they would take Benjamin's mom and why they would even come here at all. Do you? Talk to me.
We just both give him the cold shoulder. No, no. Bartleby looks confused and lost in thought. Says, I can't think of a good reason why they would, other than that she's an herbalist.
Do you think
As Benjamin would say.
Do you think she might know how to something about the seed?
She might. I suppose we would know if we tracked them down and found her.
But what do we do now? Because we have Benjamin who can't travel, and he really needs to get back to a healer, and we have the seed. And are they traveling in the same direction? I don't know. So do we take Benjamin back, or do we go after his mother and the seed? Benjamin's just one person. The seed. Well, I mean, you've seen what this fungus thing can do. Just imagine loads of those.
That's a good point, Gulliver.
Gulliver's going to turn to Briggs and ask him whether or not the tracks are leading to towards Lindo or towards Ubin Falls.
No, further into the forest. And Briggs gives you the following information. I mean, he's interpreting the tracks for you. That's what he's doing. And he says, number 1, there was 4 footprints in leather boots and a 5th one. The 5th one was stumbling. And he says quite clearly the following things. Number 1, they weren't being dragged. That is the first thing. And the tracks were moving at speed. So it wasn't sort of like they were moving at speed, and this other track was stumbling. It wasn't dragging, it was definitely stumbling, as if trying to catch, keep caught up. The other thing that I remembered the Ben's and his mom's cottage. There was a lot of potions and herbs in there, etc., etc.
I want to go over to Benjamin.
He's unconscious, remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna have a conversation.
You're gonna say, "Excuse me."
Follow him.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be rude. As I approach him and start to go into his pockets, I say, "Excuse me," and because you said earlier he put a red potion vial in his pocket.
Yes, he says he did. Yeah.
I want to check to see if it's shattered before I shove my hand into the pocket.
No, it's still the glass is very thick, and it's stoppered and has a wax surround in it. So it's as if the glass stopper's been put in and then wax has been put around it to seal it quite substantially.
Well, I take it and put it in my hand as I'm saying at it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of standing over his shoulder. What's that?
I don't know, but I have a feeling. Goalie, do you know things about colored liquids?
Yes, they're wet and they're normally different coloured.
Fascinating. Do you know anything more about this red one? What does red mean?
I've no idea. I used to clean Master Healy's parlour. I don't know anything about potions.
Do you think that this could be a mystical potion of like natural blood magic to rejuvenate and bring good blood in?
Benjamin obviously thought it was important, otherwise he wouldn't have taken it.
Should I try and feed it to him? I don't know if that's possible. I've never worked with the dead before.
What's the worst that could happen?
I would look a fool.
But it's okay. Benjamin's unconscious. He wouldn't see.
Embarrassed.
Well, okay.
He wouldn't see. And to be honest with you, I don't think Dominic would notice.
Dominic, would you notice?
Destroyed already.
Okay, I unstopper it, and I want to take a big old whiff of it to kind of get an idea of maybe what it is. Does it have a smell?
Yes. It smells of you could probably recognize the smell that's coming off it. It smells like eucalyptus.
Oh, okay. So we're getting some. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to try that maneuver then. Should I roll like heal to properly position it in his mouth and?
Why don't you?
I don't know.
Do you think it'll heal him?
It smells like eucalyptus, Gully.
What's eucalyptus?
Can I just grab the bottle from his hand and just force it down the dude's throat?
Oh my gosh, we're not trying to kill him again.
No, you guys are just taking way too long. I'm
trying.
Gulliver will look at Dominic, and then he'll look back at Benjamin and say, why don't you try it on Dominic? Because he'll point to his arm where the where there's obviously a bruise forming, where the thing hit him with the tentacle, and say, if you give him a bit and it heals that, then maybe you could give Benjamin the rest. And if it's poison, well,
Dominic is pretty good at
that.
Okay.
But just a little bit. Don't give him too much.
This dude's gonna need it more than me. But I'm gonna grab it and take a quick swig of it.
Just like a mouthful, yeah.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
like a crate.
You sort of like take a swig of it, and you get a very warming sensation down your throat, and you feel
either
that
die or
and you feel that your nostrils and your sinuses are suddenly very clear, and you can breathe in. It's almost as if you've had a bit of. Do you guys know what Vic is?
yeah, Vic, the stuff that you rub.
Yeah.
It smells really good.
So like an inhaler. So you almost like get this feeling that Vic has sort of like you've inhaled some Vic and it's sort of like cleared out your nasal passages.
So it's like an anti-allergy medicine. Sure, yeah. Make him chug it.
Well, if you bashed in his face, I'm sure his sinuses could use some help.
Probably need some clearing. Yeah.
You figure
I'll take the swig and I kind of sit there and
you figure it's almost like a herbal cure for almost like cold-like symptoms.
Probably isn't gonna help him. I'll take the swig and I'm like, it's not bad. Don't know what good it'll do, but it's your call. I'll hand it back to Bartleby.
And I will promptly try to feed it to Benjamin.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of like well, you don't force it down. You don't force it down his throat, but he sort of like chugs on it for some
He drowns.
time, and then it's sort of like you stroke his throat like you stroke a cat's to try to activate the swallowing action, and eventually he swallows it quite naturally, and yeah, he doesn't seem to be coming round or anything like that.
I look a fool.
You tried, Bartleby.
Well, thank you. This
There's
brings us back to where we were.
Did you know what the potion was doing from the smell?
It smelled kind of like I don't want to say minty. It smelled uplifting and light.
But there was other potions, and there was also herbs.
Are you saying that we go investigate the other potions?
I think I can only see two choices that we have. We either take Benjamin to a healer, or we leave him and follow the seed.
Indeed. That's yeah.
What's funny is without Hangus here, Bartleby's become the team leader.
I thought we were all equals in
Definitely
decision
seems
making.
like we're waiting on your call on this one.
Is that what's going on?
As you're sort of like discussing things among you, Briggs suddenly becomes very attentive and sort of like starts to look around him, and you suddenly notice that almost like you're not too sure where they have been, but what you assume to be some kind of bandits. They're clad out in sort of like green leather and scaled armor, and they're carrying what appears to be longbows, and they suddenly sort of like drop down or come out of bushes, and their bows are sort of like leveled completely at you and the party, and they just sort of like appear left, right, and centre. They are almost like completely surrounding you like this, and they suddenly just go like that. Bows, arrows already held actions in their bows, and you sort of like all sort of like turn around and sort of like face outwards, and from over this one comes a rather glamorous, well-formed woman, and she's carrying no weapons at all, and she just sort of like walks to about here quite confidently and puts her hands on her hips. You notice that her armor is perfectly sculptured to show off her vivacious curves, and she has a bow strung across her back, but she also has what appears to be a sword and dagger at her side, and some daggers in almost like a chest harness going down. She seems to have green tight breeches on, and the boots appear to come just over her knee and are tied tight to her what appears, Gulliver, that you suddenly notice to be quite firm thighs. And she sort of like stands here and sort of like looks at you and she says, "Well, what do we have here?"
Gulliver, not taking his eyes off her, will slowly put up his hands.
I thought you were just going to answer. Your name's Gulliver.
Well, he hasn't taken his eyes off her.
What do we have here? Gulliver?
I'd also like to raise my hands in a slow fashion.
We seems to have somewhat of a party. As in, maybe ritual sacrifice? She looks around and sees a dead boy's body lying on a piece of bear skin. Its head, the child's head, severely round. It's not caved in, but there's blood matted in his hair, and around his eyes there's sort of like that sign of bruising. Now, gentlemen, to whom are you sacrificing this boy to?
If I can interject, I am a priest of the twin moons. We're not making a sacrifice. We were set upon by this strange houseplants, and we're now seeking healing for our friend Benjamin.
As Bartleby starts his speech, and when he says, "I'm a priest," Gully sort of like pipes up and goes, "And I'm Gully."
Dominic's just turned around and is just gripping his axe with like both hands just clenched in fists, waiting for a fight.
Houseplant, you say?
It's a very large one. It was very angry.
It had tendrils.
I can see from inside the house exactly what you thought. It seems.
Are they all dressed the same then? These people?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, no, the men aren't. They're not.
No, they don't have knee-length boots
and vivacious curves or anything like that.
I mean, I'm not one to judge.
Yeah, they seem to be, but they do seem rather
uniform.
Yeah, but very proficient. They don't look like they don't look like some commoners out for a jaunt.
Never saw anything like this when Gully was in Lindo, though.
No.
Okay.
I will give.
And from the description, do they match what Briggs was saying? The people that he saw and followed.
Most definitely. I see you are a priest. Priest from the Twin Moons, you say? And I wonder, which one of the Twin Moons are you worshipping here?
I am primarily aligned with Amriel.
She sort of like leans slightly to one side and looks at Benjamin and comes back and says, that is somewhat up for discussion. I'm somewhat perturbed about why you have the child on a bear rug.
He took a really bad head injury when we were fighting the big plant thing in the house, and we were going to we've managed to stabilize him the best we could, and we were going to actually take him to a town so that he could have proper healing from a person that could heal, because Bartleby can heal, but he can't properly heal. And
may I ask? Sorry, perhaps "may" is the wrong verb to use at this point in time. Why were you in the herbalist's cottage?
Well, it's nice. Well, Gully will point down and say, he lived there, and we were coming back to find his mum, and when we got there, his mum wasn't there. But then when we were in there, we got attacked by this thing, and he was injured. And then we came back out here, and then you came up the trees, and
She turns and looks at you, Bartleby, and says, "Your son talks so much."
That's what my wife always used to say.
Yes. As a parent, I suggest you maybe gag him somewhat. So
I appreciate the advice, but
So this is Benjamin on the bear rug.
yeah, well, that's the name he gave when we asked him.
And why did you come to Rose's cottage?
how do you know who they are?
Young boy, please, please, wait until you are spoken to. And don't think that you can ask random questions in a position as you are at the moment. Could you just make perception rolls for me, please?
The amount of time that we stood talking, was it 0.125 hours?
Yeah.
Is my fatigue gone?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that mean I'm also. Oh wait, no, I was tired. So 1.5 hours. Would I
Yeah.
be down to?
It won't matter because with 93 you won't succeed on a standard roll in any case because it's not adjusting your roll. I would just for you to occur. Yeah, sorry, your fatigue will have gone. Yeah, Dominic and Briggs, you do notice that this is not the only part of the force. You also notice that in the surrounding trees, every now and again you can catch almost like the flicker of a steel arrowhead or the slight bounce of a bough or rustle of leaves, and it does almost like appear that you think there may be another 15, maybe 20 other bandits in and around this area. So the big question becomes what to do with you.
I don't think we get much of a say in this, do we?
She's waiting for us to answer.
You see at the back, Gulliver sort of like raising his hand.
I don't think she wants to hear anything from you, Gulliver, right now. She kind of had a bad mood at you.
Young boy, listen well to your father. He speaks words of wisdom. My concern at the present moment in time are not for you three men and the boy, but to Rose's son, who appears to be somewhat injured on a rug.
We seek healing for him. At the very least, I mean, if you're not intending to kill us or steal all of our possessions, could you direct us towards where we could get healing for him?
She laughs somewhat. You think we would want to steal things from you?
It's the way of the world.
You are way, way beneath our league. Way beneath our league. I would like somebody. Let me just see.
If it's acrobatics and
No, I was wondering. I was wondering whether or not Bartleby knows anything about this group of people.
I've got really good history lore. If they've done historical things.
Yeah. Okay, then go for it.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Can I make an insight roll to judge their intentions?
By all means, you can. Do you want to take your fatigue off as well, Bartleby?
Oh, I just moved it up one notch. I didn't know I left.
Oh yes,
all of it.
you eventually it'll be gone, but that's fine. That's Oh wow. Yeah, she's
Now he gets the role.
she's definitely telling the truth. She's definitely telling the truth. It's really interesting, Bartleby. You remember hearing stories from one of the local guardsmen while visiting the church, talking about a group of bandits living in the forest. Almost like led by an ex-woman, an ex-noble, and what actually she was actually the story went that she was actually denied the leadership of the noble house because, or despite her being the eldest, her younger brother, who was quite malicious and mean according to the stories, was given the power to lead the noble house, and she left that noble house in somewhat disgust. And the story goes that they brought together a group of renegades in order to wreak revenge on nobility in general, and almost like plunder caravans and such, to sort of like get her own back. That's how the story goes. However, whether or not it is true or not remains to be understood or known.
That's what the guards say.
Exactly. It would seem that the first priority here is your ritual sacrifice. I think it would be only fair, since you are asking for healing, that this might be something that we can actually provide. However, and she looks around her and almost like around the forest, this is neither the place nor the time to conduct this healing. How desperate are you?
Desperate enough to load him up on a bear rug so that we could walk him to the nearest town temple that would be able to heal him.
And that's a long walk.
It was a very long walk. We thought that the bear rug might be comfortable. Well, Gully did. As it was a good idea. I back it.
He's
We'll-
not my dad.
We'll give you a moment. We will give you a moment to decide whether or not you want our help or not. Because with the help comes a condition. She clicks her fingers, and 4 of the bandits, sort of like from their belts, bring out what appears to be silk handkerchiefs, quite long, and they seem to be folded up several times, so they're about this width. We're quite willing to help you and Benjamin. However, we can't possibly allow you to see where we, shall we say, hang out.
That makes sense. That's completely fair, I think. That's not bad at all.
You will need to be blindfolded. She looks at Dominic, for those of you who didn't understand what was happening.
I mean, that's fair. I thought this was going a totally different direction. So
Yeah, I thought we were going to pay in like arms and legs for this. I mean, silk too? They could have brought out burlap. That's really kind of them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was gonna get like tied up or something. I don't. Yeah, blind. Yeah, I mean.
I'm just moving you so I can collect you. Okay, so they blindfold you, and they start to march you through the forest. Could you all make for me, please, athletics roll or acrobatics if you have them?
Can Gully try to count the number of strides that he's taken to the best of his ability as he's doing this? Yes, that's a percent.
Can I use a point of luck to reroll?
Yes, by me.
Cool. Reroll is marginally better.
What did you go up
Yeah.
by? You
I
went
got
down
up
by
to a
3.
very easy.
Yeah.
But
This is
because I
good.
didn't succeed before. Oh yeah, down by 3. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Since I have track, is there any way I could track our progress as we're going along?
Yeah, you can roll it, but your tracking thing will be formidable.
Formidable. Oh wow, that's really high. Okay, I'm gonna roll it anyway. Didn't get it. Oh wait, that's Gulliver's. Oh no, I still didn't get it.
No, that's Sorry, my thing was the athletics thing was for Briggs.
I still didn't get it.
Okay, if you failed your athletics roll,
I
then
think I'm the only one that
you
succeeded.
you take 3 points of damage spread between your legs as you stumble through. If you have armor on your legs, then they will absorb it as usual. But if not, you've got 3 points that you need to take as distribute between your legs. You can either put all 3 on one, or you can put 2 and 1 on the other. This is to actually signify you walking through and things whacking up against you and stumbling over rocks, etc. If you succeeded in your athletics roll, then every time that this happens, you manage to sort of like stagger and sort of like ensure that you're sort of like back on your feet.
So I have padded quilted armor, which is 2 on both my legs. If I distributed it 2 on one and 1 on the other, would my armor just takes damage?
Correct, yeah. So even though the thorns sort of like lashed up against you, your padded armor sort of like absorbed the impact of it.
I could actually put it both on all the damage onto one leg and actually lose it.
Yeah.
Your leg just pops off from a thorn
Yeah,
bush.
it's just sort of like it gets caught in a bramble.
It's like getting caught in a pothole. Do you know if there's a rabbit hole and you put your foot in it and then carry on walking?
And somebody,
I can actually do
Gulliver
that.
just sort of like falls over because his leg's still in the pothole.
But as
Anyway,
it was, I split it between 2
cool. Okay,
because I got 2 legs.
you go for some time, stopping, walking, stopping, walking, stopping, until you actually arrive at a place that looks like this. Now,
Ooh.
just to let you know, you seem to be at the bottom of 4 rather huge trees, and although it looks quite crafted at the bottom, it's not as crafted as it looks. But there are rope like bridges. You can see some of the rope bridges here. They're not stairs, but
The blindfolds have been taken off. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Here you seem to be in the forest, but there seems to be in this area the trees have been cleared back, and these 4 trees are the only ones that actually stand here. And you can see that they sort of like tower up, and there appears to be up at the top circular buildings, almost like tree houses, and the woman sort of like and undoes the blindfold, and when she undoes yours, Dominic, she seems to get a lot closer than what she should do as she's untying it from behind your head, in the fact that you actually feel her body against yours as she unties it. Gulliver, you didn't feel that, just so you know. And she sort of like unties it, and she sort of says, welcome to our abode. And she sort of like leads you up this rope bridge, And obviously now,
Which one? Sorry, I was on a different. I was on Briggs's character. Yeah. Okay.
this one.
Yeah.
And obviously now you are, you're not shackled, you're not tied or anything. You don't have blindfolds or anything like that. And I'm going to show you the whole map, just so you see. And we'll assume that sometime before the next sort of like adventure, you're sort of like showed round this. So I'm just putting you in various places. So, and then I'll give you a quick explanation. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay then. So just to let you know, these bits that look like they go off the map actually go up and stick out and seem to be some kind of viewing lookout posts. So somebody could actually stand there and look out. Everything is protected by wood with rope stretched between it, but nothing in between that rope. So you could actually fall out, you know, so be careful. In the one that you're in at the moment, anything that is not inside walls is actually open to the elements. So where Bartleby is stood at the moment is open to the elements. Where Dominic and Gulliver is inside, where Briggs is inside as well. Okay, does that make sense to everyone?
So this here is not a wall.
No, that's like the balcony.
A balcony, right? Yeah,
So
I'm with you. Yeah.
all around here, that's just balcony. This
Yeah, I'm with you.
This is inside.
Yeah, this is inside here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's inside. Yeah.
This is outside. Yeah. So this is the door that but that is actually inside. And then you would come, this part here is outside as well. Okay. And then you can see that this part's inside, etc., etc. There is no, if there's any small gaps, I'm further out. So make sure that you're, can you see this one here?
Yeah.
That appears to be some kind of window. What I mean by that is that it's a hole in the wall that is shuttered and opened. There's no doors in this place at all. They're just like windowed, shuttered, and you appear to be in this major area here. You're just a little bit too big at the moment.
So how did we get up here?
You walked up that spiral staircase.
Right, so there was sort of like a spiral staircase going up the...
And it comes out here.
As we were going up towards a house, or going up towards trees, can Briggs try to get a general sense of direction using the side of the trees at the mosses? So he at least he has a general idea of which way's north, which way's south.
Yeah, he can get that quite easily, and he can point that out to you. Okay, you're currently in this sort of like, it seems to be like an entrance place, and the woman that sort of like brought you up here is with you, and you while you're there, you suddenly are confronted by a woman. She's quite, when I say old, she's probably in her 50s, early 50s, late 50s, and she sort of like comes up to the woman of the bandits and say, I am so grateful that you brought him back. And the woman goes, Rose, these are the people who saved your son. And Rose sort of like looks round at you and sort of like says, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Hello. I'm Gully. He did take a bit of a head injury, but
The healers
apart from
are with him now.
We
Well,
traveled with your son for several days, or was it weeks?
Weeks.
Time flies.
Weeks.
When you're, yeah, it is weeks. Your son is a very very brave and courageous man, and he attacked the giant plant that was fighting Dominic. I point over to our giant Dominic. He's very brave.
The tree wall. Just
He,
watching
he
him.
only had a dagger.
Yeah, she sort of like looks over at Dominic and looks up and down his great shaft of an axe that has the blood on one end, and she sort of says, "I warned Ben over and over again that the life of a town guard was not for him. He should have stayed with me and learnt my trade. But you know," she looks at you, Gully, and says, "but you know what young boys are like. Always want to be out impressing others. Hopefully, in the next few days, maybe in a week, he will be able to come round, and hopefully we can tell him what's happened so far since he was attacked by..." And she sort of like looks at you, Bartleby, to finish off the sentence.
I kind of cock my head and look to Bartleby as well.
Gulliver sort of like takes in the pause and then goes, "Evil."
Fate. The Dark Moon Maroth frowned upon him.
You said that he was attacking a fungus?
Well, I'm still not 100% sure what it was.
It
was
had
a giant,
tentacles.
but it was a plant. It was a plant or a fungus or a mold that was moving, and I don't know. A lot of things happened. I saw Benjamin bravely go in, and when we came back, it was only Dominic standing.
There was little worms with tentacles with the mouth, and they kept on being sick on things.
Slathering.
Rose turns to who this leader of the bandits and says, "Jasmine, I told you it was evil."
What do you mean? You know this thing?
Jasmine sort of like looks a bit cross at Rose, as if to say, "I told you not to say anything." And Jasmine says, "Gentlemen and young ginger-haired boy, what exactly do you know? And please say everything. I have a very
That's a very bad thing to say to Gulliver.
I have.
Yeah, I think this is Gulliver's turn.
Please tell me what you know, briefly, and be warned. I have a very high insight roll."
Benjamin's gonna be fully healed by the time Gulliver's done telling
Yeah.
us.
Gulliver basically starts at the beginning.
And after about 10 seconds, she holds her hand up and says, "Briefly."
So we were on this boat.
How much are you going to tell her? Just this is the easiest thing. Tell me what you wish to miss out.
Well, I mean, all my character saw was like we heard the scream and we saw.
No,
Dominic being
I'm talking
crazy.
more not about the battle. I'm talking more about what you
What we
know.
know in total. And she's saying, since we're pretty much going to tell her the entire story, just tell her what we want to not tell her.
So,
Tell Inwills what we don't want to share, and then we'll just share everything else. And that's mainly talking to Gully, I'm guessing, because he's our storyteller.
Yeah.
The thing that you would have to actually do would be to interrupt Gully and steer him away from the certain parts of the story that you didn't want him to say.
From meeting Ben, okay, all that time in the first adventure or second adventure, when you pulled him out of the river, when he was using a piece of bamboo for a a snorkel.
Okay.
What do you want to miss out from that point to this point?
Okay, so the first thing that I presume that we would miss out would be the fact of that there was some type of coffer behind behind the rock,
Okay, so you're not going to mention the coffer. Okay, anything else?
because then we went up and we found the caravan.
I'm not going to interrupt Goalie at all, so this is on you.
Yeah, Dominic doesn't say a word.
Well, if you don't interrupt Gully basically says it all. But I mean, Gully gives a
Okay,
in-depth description
Yeah,
of
I'm fine with
exactly
that.
what has happened.
It's all good by me.
That's absolutely fine. So
Throw our cards.
you are including the bit that, therefore, that Dominic Shea whacked Ben over the head.
Well, Gulliver didn't actually see that bit.
Yeah, we didn't see that. We were talking out in the grass.
So you're just going to
He's no right. Sorry, he's right. So as far as the what has happened up to now, we're going to give everything out. To be honest with you, anything to do with Dominic, I'm going to leave out.
okay.
The fact that he's, sort of like mutilated a whole lot of animals and stuck his head on sticks and went around chopping the heads off anything else that was living, Gulliver's going to leave out. And the fact that left alone with Benjamin for 2 minutes, he managed to nearly kill him, he's going to leave out. Yeah.
Okay then.
When you put it that way, that sounds like a very good person.
Okay, so as the story continues, you have seats in this area, and you're sat down, and you're brought refreshments, and Jasmine and Rose listen intently to you all, and the pieces of information that they really listen intently to is the bit about the coffer from the wagon, and also the bit about the description of Rose's house, her cottage, and the pods, and the fungus worms, and the fungus beast. And when you get to the end of the story and the sun is setting over the far side of the treehouse, Rose turns to Jasmine and says, "I knew you shouldn't have got it out in my cottage."
Are you talking about the seed?
Jasmine gives a huge sigh and say, "Jasmine, tell them." And Jasmine tells you a story, okay, from long ago. And Bartleby, at any point, if you at the end of this, you can roll your history roll to see whether or not you remember anything that's been said. She tells you the story of three sorcerers who created from the depths of chaos 3 seeds that actually contained huge amount of power, not in themselves powerful, but when planted would create or give birth to creatures. And these 3 sorcerers actually each had certain seeds. One of the seeds was the seed of blight, a seed that could be planted, and from it fungus and decay would just grow from it and spread. And this blight was said to engulf houses and bring battlements down as it crawled up it, and to spread across forests and bring it all to decay. The other seeds that the other two sorcerers held, we know one brought beasts into existence. Beasts of pure chaos, twisted, malevolent, eager to kill and wreak havoc, tireless, marching across the land of Odes. And the third one that we know about brought forth insects, beetles, creatures of unknown power that could burrow underground, burrow under battlements, and break out within keeps. These were only 3 of the seeds that were known about, for legend says there are 2 more that nobody ever found. Only one group of men and women stood against these 3 sorcerers in the end. An order of Templars, knight protectors. They went out, and instead of battling on the front line, they went deep into the sorcerers' abode and went deep underground and located 3 of the seeds. And basically, Rose says, stole them. This was the end of much of the power. And the Templars decided that they would spread the seed, take them to the far reaches of the world, and get rid of them, sealed in coffers from magic. It was said that nobody would be able to find them. Nobody at all. The Templars took the life oath to keep them protected, and took the seed of blight, the seed of beasts, and the seed of insects away. And they fell out of life into legend, and nobody heard from them for decades. Nobody knows, few even remember the story of the seeds. However, there is rumour. From what we have seen, Rose says, that the seed of blight is back. How do we know this? And she nods at Jasmine. And Jasmine reaches underneath her chair and takes out a coffer similar to the one that you saw beforehand. And she opens it up, and inside there's a large egg-shaped object that is constantly threading, almost like strings of mildew round it. And as Jasmine opens the lid and it feels the warm air on itself, you see it gradually spread out from the egg and starts to cascade down the coffer sides. And just before it touches Jasmine's gloved hand, she slams it shut. And she says, "We have the seed of blight. But where are the others?" Rose says.
Gulliver's eyes are just going to be getting larger and larger as this story's been told, and his sort of like mouth sort of like open, catching flies.
And Bartleby, as the story unfurls, you suddenly start to remember it. And you remember the story of the Knight Templars going deep within enemy territory and taking these seeds. You also remember that in your stories, as well as the seed of blight and the seeds of beasts and the seed of insects, there's also talk of a seed that produce hideous reptiles, snakes and lizards and gators that would crawl the land and cause havoc with poisonous bites and constricting people to death. And the only other one that you know of is the final one, the one that nobody ever saw, nor nobody ever realized existed, although it is rumored that there was definitely a fifth seed. In your story, Bartleby, there's not 3 sorcerers, there's 5.
Gulliver's going to, once the story's finished, Gulliver's going to sort of like look at them and say, what are you going to do with the seed?
That is where you, fair people, enter the story. For we have not yet decided. And it is only when my patrol stated that there was somebody looting Rose's cottage that we decided to go and investigate.
Did you find the people who were looting the cottage?
She leans forward. It was you.
Oh,
Take anything. We're just bringing Benjamin back.
So, it seems we have a seed, a herbalist, an injured boy, and 4 intrepid heroes.
Seems accurate. I'd agree with your assessment.
So what
good
do
math.
we do next?
can the seed be destroyed?
Oh, one thing that Rose didn't tell you. I'm not too sure whether or not you know this, but we intercepted the seed of blight that was being carried by a man heading back to Lindo. He was very keen to get there. He didn't last very long. He was almost like taken over by madness. And as we tried to help him, we had to stop his wagon in a most forcible manner. And as he talked, he coughed and spluttered, as if something was, well, in the nicest possible way, in his lungs.
Gulliver sort of like put his hand to his throat and go. Are the spores dangerous?
Very, young man. They can take a life.
Gulliver look at Bartleby and then look at Dominic.
I look back at Gulliver and join him in our looking at Dominic.
I look at my axe.
All of a sudden, as you're sat there very quietly, you hear this bellow go out, accompanied by a whole load of horns blowing. And there seems to be this cry of incoming, rattling and cascading round the tree houses, and getting to the doorway and looking out. I'm just going to move you so you can actually see Jasmine's ahead of you, as always. In the distance, and I'm going to pop it in the middle of the piece of paper, the middle of the map, but it's not where it is. There's almost like herds of these flying through the sky. You can see heading towards the tree house creatures that look like this. They almost like seem to be a cross between monkeys. They have bits of armor on. They have reptilian wings, and they're clutching what appears to be short spears, and they're flying high up, heading straight for the abode, the tree houses of the bandits. They're not that big, by the way. And we will leave it there.
Oh no!
So
I would tell you what reminded me of when you pulled the picture of was the things from Flash Gordon.
yeah,
The sort of like the flying monkeys.
well, I think they do look very familiar to the ones in the Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
gonna say
yes.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Okay. So just to finish off before you introduce yourself and your streams, I would just like to leave you with a few questions, just to ponder, just to keep everything together rather than letting things spread apart. So obviously you have some information now, but some questions that you might still want to be aware of, because the campaign is multi-layered. So there's several plot lines going on at the same time. It's not just one linear plot line. So questions such as, okay then, so why did the goblins attack the caravan? You know that that's happened. Okay, why did that happen? And who was the person they were talking to when you killed them all and Gully let the balls go? And what does all this have to do with Ubin Falls? And what were the merchants actually expecting from the caravan? Why were they so happy or desperate to actually reach it? And what do these bandits have to do with it? And please do remember, you have a piece of paper with something crossed on from the slums of Lindo, and you've still got that was in the coffer. You've also got that fact that you know that the old man with the coffer, came from a farm. If you remember that.
That was suffering from failed crops, etc.
Yeah, from the west side of the river. So, hopefully, you've got enough to have a think about before the next adventure.
Yeah.
I'm just colouring in a bit of Ben for you.
Oh, I thought you had actually disconnected because you were really sort of like still. I thought, oh.
No, I'm just colouring in Ben's token.
Oh, right.
So you could see. Okay. Did I do it on the right layer?
I don't think you did. I didn't see anything pop up.
Oh, drat! That was melodramatic and pointless, wasn't it? Right. Okay, I'll do it again.
Is it worth putting effort into him? Because if we leave him with Dominic again, he might not be here next adventure.
I don't know. I think it's very interesting what's going to happen there. Well, I think it's very interesting what's going to happen there.
He will wake up, and he's probably not going to have the best to say about Dominic doing that to him.
Yeah.
If he remembers, he may be a vegetable. I mean, I had brain matter on my axe.
That is true. It depends how he's being healed, though. You know, if
Yeah,
they've,
he could have a magic.
you know, that would be very, very positive. So, but only time will tell, and then maybe there will be the price might have to be paid there. As my favorite, as other DMs say to me all the time, whenever there's something, there has to be a consequence. And that's the important bit. So, guys, if you'd like to tell people who you are and where they can find you, and we'll start off with Gulliver.
I'm Chugwugger. You can find me here on Saturdays where I play Gulliver in Mythverse. You can also find me on Tuesdays where we play Shadowrun and I play Stanley Lovely, aka Studley, who is a combat mage in the 2075 era.
76.
And apart 2076, sorry, year out. And apart from that, you can normally find me in Will's channel where I act as a moderator. Yeah,
Excellent.
that's it.
Who are you passing on to?
Yeah, I'm going to pass on to Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickles, that's me. I'm Mr. Pickles. I play Bartleby Fumus, our cleric. I don't stream, so you can't find me streaming anywhere, but I'm aligned with Wrath in the Wrath Inspired group, so you can sometimes find me there doing stuff. I have a campaign coming up sometime eventually.
Woohoo!
And I'm going to just roll the microphone over to Wrath now.
All right. Yeah, I'm Wrath. I do stream. You can find me associated with the Mr. Pickles community. No, I stream. You can check out my channel. I'm currently on vacation in the north. I don't know how much I'll be streaming, so if you don't see me, that's why. But otherwise, I stream about 70 hours a week on normal, so you can always catch me there. Let's see, we do all kinds of games. I'm a variety streamer, but my most important thing that you'll want to know about is that I spend my time here on Saturdays during this time playing as what's my name? Dominic. Playing as Dominic. Super important. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I got. I'm a positive person, and I love you guys. And
Oh, thank you.
that passes
We
it
love
back
you
to-
too.
I was just looking at a map there to see where Portland was. 'Cause I have
Yeah, Portland. Yeah.
Isn't it in Oregon?
It is, yeah.
Yes.
It's near Vancouver.
Yeah, it is right now.
Isn't that in New Zealand?
No.
Oh.
Well, there's a Vancouver. Well, I don't know about New Zealand, but there's a Vancouver, BC, which is Canada, which is actually really
Canada, that's what I was thinking of.
cool. And then there's Vancouver, Washington, which is right. Like there's Portland and there's Vancouver, and a river splits them, but really they're like pretty much the same giant city.
Is that where you are now, Portland?
Uh,
You don't need to answer that, sorry.
yeah. Well, I live in Houston, Texas now, but last night, as of like a couple hours ago, I flew up to Portland.
God, it's so big, isn't it, America?
The thing that amazed me was that, you know, he's just, I mean, if you travel across the UK, nothing happens. But Raph's travelled from where he was to somewhere else, and has the time zone changed by 3 hours or something?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's,
I think 2 hours. 2 hours.
yeah. I mean, that's scary, that.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's always,
You know, if we go from where we are up to Scotland, you know, nothing happens apart from that you'll speak funny. But
I didn't realise
know.
that there's two Washingtons.
yeah. There's Washington D.C., which is the capital of the whole, us, and then there's Washington, which is
Which Seattle
Ace-
is.
just-
AC,
that's Seattle,
Washington
is the
AC,
one
and
where I'm at.
Washington,
Oh my
D.C.
Alternative.
Seattle is the Washington on the west coast. D.C. is the Washington on the east
Is
coast.
Dakota a nice place to live?
Which one, north or south?
Either.
Neither one is.
Oh,
I think they're really
No.
snowy.
I would like to go back
But
to the Black
aren't the
Hills.
Black Hills nice
Black
there?
Hills must be nice there.
Yeah.
North Dakota is like just a bunch of like.
You obviously don't listen to
No, you
Calam-
obviously...
They don't obviously listen to Calamity Jane. the music.
Take me back to the Black Hills,
Oh my
the
God.
Black Hills of Dakota.
Do they have Black Hills there? No.
Okay, so let me explain something to you. The U.S. is a really big place. Just saying that we live in the U.S. doesn't mean we've been. I've never been to Dakota. I don't know.
That's no excuse for not knowing geography, Raf.
What's that?
I said that's no excuse for not knowing your country's geography.
Do you understand?
Just because it's big.
I can safely say I have not been to all the counties because we have counties in UK. I've never been to all the counties.
We have 50 different states, and every single one of them is different than the other one.
Yeah, because you have different climatic regions as well.
Yeah, they're so different.
We have counties too.
Yeah,
Within
counties too. Yeah.
within states. Within states.
So there's
Within
like
states.
the country, and then all these 50 states, and then within that, like 50 counties within them, and then within that, 100 cities.
Why can't Americans just keep things simple?
Because we're under the impression that bigger is better.
Yeah.
Manifest destiny or something like that, right?
Did you have to learn all the states when you were at school?
Yep.
Yes, and their capitals and the abbreviations. Because why not?
That's
Do
interesting.
Anyway,
you remember
who are
all
you
of
in,
them?
Wills?
No.
Yeah,
I'll be
sorry.
sitting here like, what is-
We don't need to learn all the counties. So anyway, yeah. In the UK, yes. So I'm in Wales and I've been DMing tonight for Mithras and learnt a lot and lots of rules that I need to look up in preparation for next week, and found some interesting traits in various characters tonight. So I will be back tomorrow on Christmas Eve. At 3:00 GMT time, when I'll be playing some more ESO, and then it'll be Christmas, and we'll all be celebrating. There'll be no Shadowrun next week because it's Boxing Day. I don't know. Do you have Boxing Day in America?
No, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's when we all go out and box each other. It's really nice.
That's not what I heard. Something slightly different than that. It's more literal.
They're like cats. They play in the boxes of the presents they got.
Yeah, that's what we all try to sit in a box all day. That's what we do.
They really just give each other's gifts so that they can pull the gifts out, set them aside, and play in the boxes.
The Boxing Days when we can't actually move. Either all the people who are hungover are too sick to do anything, or everybody else has eaten so much we can't move. Apart from if you work in retail, in which case you're at work, because
That's called Saturday for us.
that's when the sales work. So yes, without further ado, let's head off. I'd like to say to each and every one of you, I'd just like to say, be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, everyone, and I will catch you later. And until then, I'd like to say to each and every one of you, consider yourself well and truly waffled. Have fun, guys. Bye.
Goodbye.